This is the ABQ Business Podcast with your host, Jason Rigby. Each week we'll interview visionary business leaders to inspire the creative power and spirit that's in every entrepreneur. Discussing strengths, weaknesses, strategies, systems, and the problems we can all solve together for a new future for local small business.
Hey guys, Jason Rigby here. I am coming from you live from 99.9 the BFM studio. If you are a small business and you want to listen to some old school hip hop, some R&B, it's clean. You can put it in your showroom. You can put it in your place of business. Customers will love it. Everybody needs to be chasing some waterfalls every once in a while. But I love, I don't know. It's just, there's just so much energy when it comes to, and everybody like sings along and they think about it. Put it out there for your employees. You're helping a minority owned, not-for-profit radio station. You can go to 99.9thebeatfm.com. You can click stream and then put it over some speakers. You're going to be helping small business, and not only just the not-for-profit radio station, but you're going to be helping small business all around Albuquerque just by doing that one simple thing. So if you guys could do that, that would be great. Also want to thank Quality Mazda. If you're looking for a new vehicle and you want something that's kind of luxurious, some of you have, I've had BMWs and all that, and I drive a new Mazda CX-5 now, and it's amazing the way that it's done inside, how nice it is, how I don't know. It's hard to explain. You'd have to just go online. You can go to one of the Mazda websites and read what Car and Driver and Motor Trend and all of them are saying about the interior and the exterior of a Mazda. It's a premium brand. Mazda's a premium brand without the premium price. So if you're looking for something that's equivalent to like a Lexus or an Infiniti, but you don't want to pay the $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, look at a Mazda. I encourage you to do that. They help support small businesses big time. So we want to thank them. What I want to get into today on the podcast is I've been reading a lot on leadership, especially military leadership, because of what's been going on with COVID and everything that's been happening with the crisis and the businesses that have been hurting. I want to make sure that each of us understand leadership in crisis. And I think one of the best ways to do that is in wartime. I was in the Marine Corps and went to Somalia, Bosnia, and Haiti, and I saw amazing leadership in the Marine Corps. And I want you guys to understand, some of you have been in the military, some of you haven't. And if you have been in the military, I want to thank you for your service. I appreciate the sacrifice that you made for all of our freedoms. But you know as well as I do the camaraderie that you have, the teamwork that you have, and the ability for people to lead is absolutely amazing. The systems that they have in place. And so there's a website called themilitaryleader.com. And I stumbled across this website, and they have a PDF if you sign up for their email. They give you a PDF, and the PDF is this: 40 questions that will challenge your leadership. And it has to do with military leadership. And I really, really want to go through these questions with you. I got a lot of DMs about the one I just did, where we, went through all the different types of questions, and the unsolicited advice basically is what it was. And so a lot of you really like that one. So I saw this one and I said, no, I think we'll go through this one too. Well, the first part of the 40 questions that will challenge your leadership. Number one is it starts with the individual. This is you as a leader. And the first question it asks is this: how much more effective would you be if you had total awareness of the impact of your actions on others? What would it take to find out? We always measure effectiveness by what our sales number is, effectiveness by our ROI, effectiveness by, how many units we're getting out, lifetime value of customers. I mean, the list goes on and on. How much product did we do? How many homes did we sell? I mean, the list, we have lists that is, innumerous about what is effectiveness. But if you were effective as a leader by the impact of your actions on others, and you looked at everything that you did in that way, what way would you change yourself? I think this is a great question and one that you should ponder for a while. Next question. Is your need to prove you're in charge more important than your desire to develop your team by encouraging their input? Is your need to prove, this is your ego, guys, is your need to prove you're in charge more important than your desire to develop your team by encouraging their input? You know how many times I'll be in a meeting with leaders? I've seen it when I've consulted with businesses, and the CEO, whoever it may be, CFO, whoever's, there's always one person that's kind of the alpha male, or one person that's in charge. And I've seen it male and female, both sides. And they just interrupt everyone, just continue to interrupt. And they have no desire for their input. They want their input, their personal input. They feel like they just have to talk. Some of you have that. Maybe you're a manager and you have a boss that's that way. It's annoying. And it also shows who's the most important person in the room and who they value. And that's their ego in themselves. They're actually a very fragile person, and usually it self-sabotages them. And that's a whole nother podcast. But next question, does your leadership style accurately represent your character, courage, and competence? Oh my goodness, I love these questions. Your character, your courage, and your competence. So many times we want to hide behind being incompetent in certain things because we want to appear like we're Superman. And then the courage that it takes to lead, especially now in this time of crisis, we go hide. And then character is the things that no one's going to catch you. I was talking to someone the other day, and we were talking about another leader that I know, and we were talking about character. And it's just funny how they try to always take a shortcut, even if it's kind of in the gray area, even if it's kind of partly, illegal. Maybe just this once I can get away with it, but then greed sets in if they make money from that, and then they end up repeating the pattern over and over and over again until they get caught. Character, courage, and competence. Do you display that to those that you lead? Next question. How could you simplify your language to provide clarity to your organization? This is one that I've been working on to get. I like to look at Twitter, like especially old school Twitter, when it used to be 128, I think it's 256 now or whatever. But I like to get it down to that. If I can get it down to one little sentence, a statement, or maybe even 4 or 5 words, then I know that I can be ultra clear on what I'm talking about. A lot of times when I do training, I'll try to just like use one word and then one idea, and then open it up for questions and answers and let other people kind of set the points and then write that on a whiteboard. You'll be surprised when you begin to open up and allow others to speak, how the whole room becomes engaged, and then there's learning that's actually going on. Not the old school way of the broken educational system where we, just sit there and ramble, wah, wah, wah. We've all seen that with the Charlie Brown, and then the students are disengaged and the teacher's just going through the motions. And I'm not saying this. Let me clarify. I know tons of teachers that are amazing teachers, and they are just as frustrated with the system as all of us are with that. And I'm hoping with this COVID that it just brings about this new desire to understand how we can learn and ways that we can learn and how effective learning can be if it's engaged. So how are you going to provide clarity to your organization? Next, how do you evaluate your team? Do you recognize and encourage the team players, or do you reward the achievers regardless of the methods they use? This one is one that I've had to learn a long time ago, because subconsciously when somebody's making you money, you want to reward them. And the person that is middle of the road, that's been with you for 10, 15 years, that may not be that superstar, that guy that's loyal and faithful, cares about you, has been producing for the last 10, 15 years. He's more important than that superstar that comes in for 2, 3, 6 months. But you're putting that person on a pedestal instead of looking at the long game, the long term, and saying, this is where I need to be with this person. How can I take what this person's doing and elevate that? That's why coaching is so important, guys. If you haven't studied coaching, you have. If somebody's average, but they're loyal, they're faithful, they love your company, you can get them to above average. That's your responsibility as a leader in coaching. So we need to be careful what we encourage and what we recognize. Reward on things that have to do with the culture of your business, reward on things that have to do with the character of the person, reward on things that have to do with solving a customer's problem in a creative way. Those are the things that you want to recognize and encourage, not numbers. We always just fault to numbers because that's the easy way around. Oh, this person did so many phone calls, or this person did, you know, it just amazes me. And now we're just like everything else. We're like, how do we get to that? How can we inflate that? You have and then you have these businesses and you have the stock market and then you have all these CEOs that are trying to, cutting a bunch of jobs to make a profit. There's just ways around it to be able to show on your spreadsheet that you're showing a profit. And a lot of it is plain and simple cheating. So recognize, encourage those that are underneath you, recognize and encourage the things that you value and that you want your company to reproduce. Next, so that was the individual. That's you. Here's the next one is self-awareness. What approach have you taken to assess the effectiveness of your own leadership traits? These are questions that you need to, and like I said, you can go to themilitaryleader.com and get these. These are questions that you need to sit down and ask yourself this. What approach have you taken to assess the effectiveness of your own leadership traits? I look at this. So when I did this, I did the good and the bad, because instantly I always go to the negative and I want to be hard on myself. And so I went through and I was like, what am I not effective in? What leadership traits do I have? Why am I taking things so personal? But then on the other hand, I take things really personal, but then that means also that I do care. And so how can I take that and be effective in that leadership trait? Well, I need to over communicate that I care, and that the reason I'm so passionate about this, the reason I'm sitting this person down in my office and going over this in a passionate way and making sure that they understand is because I do care about them, and that I'm seeing that they are doing second best, that what their potential is so much more than what they believe that they are, because I believe in them more than they even believe in themselves. And that's something that you have to look at. Next, does your leadership environment have a way for people to tell you that you're being a jerk? See, these are military questions. Isn't this interesting? A lot of you would never get this, but this is how it is in the military. You'll be surprised, and I always talk about this, but the Jocko Willink, Jocko, he's got podcasts on this. He's wrote like four now leadership books, 4 or 5. I encourage you to buy all of them on Amazon. And read them. This will help you along with these questions. A person should be able to come to you and say, hey, boss, I didn't like the way that you communicated with me with this. I feel like this is this, or you need to look at it this way. They should be able to do that because they may see something that you don't. You know how many times I've been almost blindsided, but I've had an employee help me out? And something I didn't see the full picture because I was looking at it from like a helicopter view and they're on the ground. And on the ground, they told me something that I didn't know. And how many times have I been where I haven't been the nicest person? I need that for them to say, hey, are you in a bad mood? Or man, you were in a bad mood today. And then I have the opportunity to apologize and ask for forgiveness. If you're not running your organization that way, you need to change. You have to apologize. And I'm not talking about in a selfish way where you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I see that passive aggressive. Sorry, will you forgive me? I know. And then they make a little dig. We all know somebody like that, the guilt tripping and all that stuff through the sorry. Not talking about that. What I'm talking about is that they have freedom to be able to honestly and transparently communicate with you. Next, what determines how you react to failure? Your mood, the severity of the failure, or the frequency of failures? I learned to disengage. And Jocko talks about this in a moment of something that's happening. How do you disengage? Well, number one, me, because I'm an emotional person, I get emotional over something, especially when I start to see something fail or recognize that something failed and maybe I was a little too late. So I have to disengage and then look at it like I would if it wasn't me experiencing it. So like I'm looking over myself and then looking at it with no emotion, just logic. And then I can sit there with that clarity. I can sit there and say, okay, This is where I'm at. This is what I need to do. And this is the direction I need to go to fix this. And a failure is just me learning. That's all it is. I can learn through every failure. And I get excited when I fail because it gives me an opportunity to grow, mature, and be better. And that's what we need to look at failures as. Stop playing safe. If you're not failing frequently, or like John Maxwell in his book, Failing Forward, if you're not failing forward, then you're not taking the risk that you need to take in your business. Next, what kind of energy does your organization get from you? I see this so many times. I've walked into businesses and seen high leaders, whether they're chief marketing officers. I can remember now, this one chief marketing officer that just when he would walk in the room, everybody would just be, "Ooh," like, oh my goodness, it was almost like the energy got sucked out of the room, and now it was time to be serious because he was just serious all the time. And I'm like, that is no way to run your organization, or I don't want people to feel that way around me, because then it's like, oh, when he leaves, it's like, oh, we can breathe again. Okay, now we can get back to normal. You never want to have that. That's not genuine. People aren't going to like working for you. They're just going to be collecting a paycheck. There's not going to be a way for them to be passionate and excited. Can I say something about passion real quick? I'm going to get out of these questions. I want you guys to know this. You need to ask your employees when you're coaching them what makes them excited about their job. And you need to ask them to be honest. Like in your job, you need to ask them this. This is a great question to ask. In your job, when you do this, or this, and next thing you know, 3-4 hours have passed and you're just in the zone and you're really excited and you're just super happy that you're working. When you're doing what? When does that happen? Because that's what you need to have them do all the time. Maybe they need to go in a different position. If you had employees that were engaged hours on end, super happy and focused, what would that look like? Ask them that. They'll tell you what direction they want to go in and how they do that. Plus, it brings awareness to that. Like, yeah, I do love my job. Yeah, I do love when I do this. Well, give them the freedom to allow them to do that more. Next, does your team feel like they can tell you you're wrong? How would you know if they did or didn't? This is always hard for a leader to hear. We always want to play like we're above, like it's my company. I'm the leader. I'm the founder. This is who I am. And you work for me. But no good team in military, people's lives are in danger. So you will literally have, they call it decentralized. You will literally have a team of people and they're all equals because any one of them can get shot. Rank really doesn't matter when you're on the battlefield when it comes to a bullet hitting you. In fact, it used to be like officers would take their shiny medals off because if they saw any type of shiny metal, they would just shoot them first. So, it was actually detrimental to being an officer. So they began to take their ranks off and stuff like that because everybody needs to be the same. Yeah, there's going to be a person in charge, but each person is going to have their own job and duty. And then you have to submit back and forth. They need to be able to tell you that you're wrong or be able to come to you and question something that if you've given them a project to do and you said, I think we should go in this direction and here's how we go, let them come to you and say, hey, I think you're wrong in this area. Here's where I think we should go. And then you guys talk together on it because they may lead you. Now, ultimately you have the final say so, but they may lead you in a direction that you never even saw. Decision-making, that was self-awareness. Here's decision-making. How would situations turn out differently if you were slower to make judgments? A lot of people, I've seen it, they'll just go with their gut. They'll just make the situation in the moment, in the emotions, da 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 da. What if you took time to detach from it, to think about it logically and with a servant's heart? What type of judgment would you make then? Slow yourself down when you're going to make judgments, especially if they're big ones. It'll save you tons of heartaches. That leads you into a failure 80% of the time. Next, what is your organization's DNA for reacting to events and information? How quickly can they react? Are you the bottleneck? Does everything come through you? Do you decide on what type of? I was at a company, and it was interesting to see how the owner, every little decision, whether it was a phone call, whatever it was, the owner literally running around talking to every employee, and every employee would come up to him and ask, can we do this? How are we going to get this? I got this. What should I do here? And for literally 30 minutes, this owner was running around for no reason. And then they're like, whew, I finally I may have a few minutes to be able to talk to you, Jason, but I'm just so busy. And I'm like, no, you're not busy. You've just made everybody dependent off you. And whether it's your ego or whether that's just how you can't handle, giving out control, there's no reason that when somebody makes a phone call and then they take an order that they need to come to you and talk to you about the order. They should be able to handle that from start to finish. You should be able to just look at the end every month and see how many orders came out, not that your hands are involved in each and every single one. So the DNA of your organization is really important. Next, what would your subordinates learn if they had more autonomy to solve their problems? What would they learn? Well, they're going to fail. You're going to watch them fail. But what if you coach them through that? I'm working with a company right now. We're making an after action review, so that when a situation happens, a big situation happens, and they make a decision and they have to make a decision, then a manager comes with them and then goes through the after action. This is a military thing, but it goes through, after every mission, you always do an after action report, and you go through what could be done differently. How could we do this next time this way? What went wrong? What went right? Those are things that you can coach with your employees, and you will build their leadership and make them a better person. They will learn over times to be able to think for themselves. And that's what you want. If you have 5 people that you trust and they're all thinking for themselves and they're being good leaders and they've bought into the culture of what your business is, that's way better than you trying to do everything. You just 5 times yourself. Think about that. Next, have you specified what decision authority your subordinate leaders can exercise? What authority have you given them? I talked to a leader a while back, and he's like, the best thing I ever said was that you can spend up to $400 on a customer. Now, they had these were high end customers. They're like, you can spend $400 to make a customer happy. And then I was going, he's like, I was going on every phone call having to deal with these customers every day. And then they're just going on and on and on. And I would end up doing things for them that was, $400 or less. Sometimes it was just something that was $20 or $50 or refunding shipping or whatever. And he goes, when I made that decision, I don't have any phone calls anymore. They're handling the customers right on the spot. And it's better than me having to call. He's like, he's like, I don't know why I didn't do this a long time ago, because, and maybe it's $20 for your employees, maybe it's $40, but let them handle your heat. Because he's like, I had 10 phone calls with sticky notes all over my desk of angry customers, when those could have been handled within 5 minutes by the person that's there, and the customer would have been a lot more happy. He's like, we're getting a ton of more Google reviews. It's just the customer's happier because it's getting solved right on the spot. And then if they're not happy after that, then I get involved. But he's like, it's been very rare. He's like, I don't know why I was putting myself through all that pain and torture. You don't have to handle that. Let your employees do that. What authority can you give them that they can exercise? Especially when you do have at least 1 or 2 employees that you trust. So dish it off to them, guys. Next, do you give left-right limits and let your subordinates make their own decisions in that band? Or do you require everyone to do it your way? You guys got to think about this. What is your way? Now you may have, like I said, a culture in a way. I like military leadership, so I like to run things that way. Maybe that's a little bit more stricter than other people would like. And if they want to be more loosey goosey and have more like more I don't know, style where it's not so rigid and structured in systems, then they can go work somewhere else. So I do have my way, but I want them in that constraint of my way. I want them to be creative and find a way that they can do it that best fits them. Whether I can be strong and I can, be stern, maybe for them being soft and relaxed is the way that they need to be, because that's their personality, and they get the job done that way with someone, where me, they would just shut down if I go off on them. You see what I'm saying? So find a way where they can do it their way, but yet it still holds the culture of the business. That's why it's so important to teach and hammer every single day. You have to engage your employees with culture. You have to work on your business, not in your business. It's coaching, it's recruiting, it's watching the temperature of your company and making sure that you're bringing that. It's bringing joy and enjoyment and structure and creating systems. Those are things that you're supposed to do as an owner, not handle orders or do sales or whatever. I mean, if you're a small company, I get that. That's part of your job. But the more that you can dish that off to others, I'm telling you. I was talking to somebody the other day, they were doing data entry every day for like 2 or 3 hours. And I'm like, why? You can literally hire someone very inexpensively. Your time, 3 hours a day, really? You have $1 million company and your time, 3 hours a day, every day. I mean, you can hire somebody to do that very inexpensively. And they can give you reports and stuff, and then you can look over it for accuracy or have somebody else watch them. Or maybe you watch what they do after a month and make sure that it's done the right way, and you coach them and reproduce that. Then you never have to touch that report again. See, those are things that you need to look at. Next is interactions. So we had decision-making, self-awareness, and individual leadership. Now it's interactions. Are your conversations of the quality that people will learn from them? This is something I'm learning, is to talk less and to have humility and intelligence. I've been telling myself that over and over again. When you speak right now, are you going to be humble? And humility is not like giving in and being passive aggressive. You can have humility and still be stern and still know the direction that you need to go. It's just you're not going to have a big ego about it. So are your conversations the quality that people will learn from them? So every moment needs to be a teaching moment. I'm always reminded of Jesus and the disciples when you read the Bible, whether you're religious or not. It's really good, especially the book of John, to go through and look at that book, and you can see all the leadership qualities of Jesus. But, one of the things was he was always with his disciples, teaching them, constantly teaching, instructing, teaching, showing them a new way to live their life. They had a mission to do, yes, but through that moment, he knew, because he was only going to be here for 3 years, and then he turned around, sent those 12 disciples out, and guess what happened? Christianity went throughout the whole world. So as a leader, amazing leader, whether you believe in Jesus or not, it does not matter. At the end of the day, you need to look at his leadership ability and the way that he coached those disciples and the way that he worked with each and every one of them individually to bring about a religion that spread throughout the known world. Next, does your speech elevate people or tear them down? Does your speech elevate people or tear them down? I have a lot of sarcasm. In the Marine Corps, they taught me that. And we did that. I would go take a bullet for somebody, but at the same time, I'm going to pitch them a lot of shit. And so I still do that. It's probably like tearing them down. I'm probably borderline here. I need to work on this. I should elevate people. I tell people like, great job, amazing, really proud of you. I say those, but then I am quick to tear into somebody, and they tear into me too. So that's good. But this is probably one of the ones out of all these that I really need to work on. I need to have good encouraging and elevate people, not look at those. But I don't know. That's also our culture too. We always joke around and kid with each other. I kind of like that. So I need to dissect this question a little bit more. There's a dichotomy there. Next, how much difference would it make if you said thank you or great job at least once an hour every day? This is something that I saw from Herb, the guy that started Southwest Airlines. That's what he would do. He's like, literally, I walked around and talked to employees and just encouraged them and listened to their stories. And he goes, that's what I became known for. I changed the culture of the organization that way. He's like, there was nothing greater I could do than to be able to talk to the employees. He's like, that was the number one thing that I could do, is to encourage. So thank you, great job, at least once an hour every day. So if you're there for 6-8 hours, that's 6-8 great jobs, thank yous. And you need to do them for a reason, because if you do them too much, here's a dichotomy too. If you do them too much, then people will, they won't listen to them. So you have to be careful of that, but find ways to say, I really like the way that you handled that customer. I was listening to you from my office, and you said this, this, and this, and that was really good. Be specific about your thank you or great job. Make sure you tell them, because you want them to model that behavior again. So if you tell them specifically what they did and then reward them, and you don't have to reward them with Starbucks, occasionally do that at lunch or whatever, just telling them, I really want to thank you for the way that you handled that customer. That customer was irate, but you said this, this, and this, and it disarmed them. And I didn't have to get involved. You were able to handle it. And I really appreciate your leadership in the way that you serve that customer. That goes a long way, guys. I'm telling you, those are the things that you can do as a leader that's going to help your team. Next, have you clarified how you expect your team to interact with each other? Does your team follow the no asshole rule? I love that. Don't be an asshole to each other. Come on. A friend of mine has this he has a big sign, the no asshole rule, and he has it up in his big warehouse, because he's got like a lot of guys that are like, they're just that manly type, don't give two shits, and they'll razz each other or whatever. But there's a point. No fighting, none of that. Don't be an asshole. And if you're that type of person, you're not welcome here. And that's really important, because that will weed out those superstars that come in, but then they end up tearing your organization down. Are those people that you bring in and then they think that they're God's gift to mankind? You don't want those type of people. I'm telling you, you don't want those type of people in your organization. So this is a good sign. And I would, if you have time, I would have a meeting on the no asshole rule. Next is team focus. So we just talked about interactions. Now we're talking about team focused. Question: how much more capable would your team be if everyone cared less about their own success and more about the team's? How can you structure it this way where there's team success? I always like to do team goals, and I'll put them buy a whiteboard. You can buy them inexpensive for like $40 with an easel on Amazon, and put a team goal out there for the month in front of them, and just let it sit there. Put it in a corner where they can see it, if it's near the water cooler or the coffee machine or whatever, and put a team goal. And this is what's going to happen. We're going to all go out for dinner. This is what's going to happen as a team if we complete this task as a team. Put a goal out there, a team goal. That will automatically, they will see that multiple times a day and read it. They will read it all the time. I'm telling you, get a whiteboard and put a monthly May's team goals. Here's what I want, and do one or two only. Don't do any more than that. The 4 Disciplines of Execution talks about that. You've on Wild Audacious Gold. You can only have one or two. If you haven't bought that book, buy it. The 4 Disciplines of Execution, amazing book. Next question: what no-fail traits does your organization espouse? No-fail traits. So like, we're not going to give up. We don't give up that easily. I heard something, and I've been using it with my employees. Don't tell me no about this customer. Tell me how we're going to get to a yes. And I'll interrupt them. I'll be like, no excuses, 100% your responsibility. How are we going to get to a yes on this customer? Because I love taking 100% responsibility for everything. And when you take 100% responsibility for it, then you're not allowed excuses. What are the creative ways that we can get to a yes? You'll be amazed at what your employees come up when you tell them that. Next, is your message clear enough so that even the lowest ranking member can understand and implement it? Marine Corps had it all the way from a private all the way up to a general. They wanted to make sure that their message is clear, so that and their main thing is you're a rifleman first. So all your training, everything, you're a Marine first, you're a rifleman first. You're going to be able to know how to shoot your rifle. You're going to be able to know how to go to war first. I don't care what you are, what you do. You're going to shoot and know how to do that. That's a very clear message from a private all the way up to general. They know what they need to do. Next, do you repeat your core message often enough for it to become common knowledge and a shared vision? You have to cast vision, guys, all the time. Use every opportunity to cast vision. If you haven't done it in a while, get a Starbucks order together in the morning and call a meeting at 9:15 or whatever, 11:15, or if it's a Zoom meeting or whatever, and you're not going to talk about anything else but casting vision. That's it. Here's what we are as a team, and here's our shared vision, and this is the direction we're going, and these are things that I saw that are amazing that we're doing, and if we continue this, then we'll complete the mission and not just a mission, but we'll be able to complete the vision that I have for 2020. Next, how have you helped your own team be more productive? Not only so that they can get more work done, but so that they can more easily pursue their true purpose. Do you even know your employees' purpose? What is their true purpose? What are they excited about? I was talking to a employee the other day, and they were talking about how excited they are about biking, like mountain biking. That's their passion. That's what they do. They bring their bike to work. And I was like, well, when do you like to bike or whatever? And he's like, well, it's just a struggle with work. And sometimes I like to do an afternoon ride kind of towards the evening, but then I'm working on stuff like, well, I was like, what if you came in earlier? And then you could leave earlier. He's like, I could do that. I was like, yeah, that's your passion, bro. Let's make mountain biking. We can figure stuff out around it. As long as you're getting the work done, I don't care. If you come in at 7 and you want to leave at 3, that's fine. As long as the work's getting done. No way. That's awesome. That type of thing. So, find their true purpose and then help them be productive. They will get more work done for you. I guarantee you that if you ask them that. Next, what is your threshold for what is an acceptable failure and what is not? Have you clarified your philosophy to your team? So acceptable failure would be, I know you tried your hardest. We still failed with this. We didn't get the client that we anticipated. We tried everything we could. We got creative with our yeses and it still failed. Okay, I get that. I understand that. We're not going to win them all. Let's move on to the next one. Now, an unacceptable failure would be like, they called, you didn't call them back, you goofed off, you were lazy, you were being fearful, you weren't clear with the presentation, the proposal wasn't done, it had a bunch of spellings errors and was all messed up. That's the type of thing that you need to clarify. And that philosophy needs to be in your team. So whatever philosophy you have in the way that you do business, they need to understand that down to the point. It needs to be infiltrated to every part of your and if you have a philosophy of being professional and you dress really professional. I was talking to someone the other day, a chiropractor, and he was that way. He's like, he likes to wear a tie and he likes to be real professional and he likes his people to be real professional. And he hires people that are, that talk well and articulate and they're professional. Not something that I would do, but that's his style, which is fine. Has he clarified this philosophy to his team? Does it seem, why would you hire somebody that could be really productive, but then they're turning around throwing the F word out in front of all your customers? That's opposite of what he's trying to create there. Next, how can you better engage your subordinates to inform them of where they stand in the organization, how they can improve? This is coaching, guys. You got to coach weekly and monthly. If you don't know how to do that, there's so many coaching books out there that you can get and it'll give you questions. You can grab 2 or 3 good coaching books, just go on Amazon, take those, there'll be questions in there, take those questions, type them out on a Google Doc or have your secretary do it. And then then do a weekly where you come in and just start, follow the books. I guarantee you over time, if you're consistent, you have to be consistent with coaching. Because then they'll just look, they're not going to, in the first few times, they're going to look and be like, what are you doing? But you will get good at it over time, like in everything that we do, you will get good at it and your employees will look forward to it and you will look forward to it because you're going to get amazing results from it. Your business will start growing more. If it's growing now, it's going to grow more than it ever has because you're going to have engaged employees that are happy and employees that can be honest with you. And you're listening to them and they'll feel happy when they come to work and fulfilled. Next is growth. So that was team focus. Now here's growth. What are your methods for acquiring new knowledge and developing ideas? So we always have a learning mindset. If you have a fixed mindset, Carol Dweck talks about this in her book. If you have a fixed mindset, you're done. Always want to be learning. And you need to be learning and reading and watching YouTube and listening to podcasts and doing all that. You need to be doing that more than your employees are doing that. You need to have this way that they can grab knowledge, not just from you, but other places. Share things with them. Say, hey, I listened to this really good podcast. It was talking about teamwork. I want all you guys to listen to it. And then when we get together, we're going to talk about it with our coaching. And how do you let them develop ideas? Can Bill that's in the stock room turn around and say, I think there's a better idea to systemize this. What if I do it this way, and this way? So these are things that you need to understand that can they have that ability to do that? Next, have you prioritized leader development but not given it due consideration on the calendar? Everybody does this. So how many leaders do you have underneath you? How often are you spending time in coaching them? You need to put it on your calendar. That needs to be the first thing you do. You have to be able to lead leaders, guys, or they're not going to know how to lead properly. Because if you're not leading them properly, then they're not leading your employees properly. Do you get that? It's a domino effect. You begin leading them properly and you should be focusing 80% of your time on your leaders and 20% of time on the rest of the employees, because they're going to be able to handle it. And you need to have that clear communication so they can come to you and you can give them advice, or you guys can figure something out together to be able to handle a situation, employee, a customer, whatever it may be. But put it on your calendar, guys. Leadership development has to be on your calendar. How much more talented would you and your team be if you could internalize one professional lesson per day from books, speeches, articles, etc.? I love daily huddles, guys. I'm 100% in them. Take the time to articulate. That's the number one thing I love to do, whether it's virtually through Zoom or whether it's at work. I'm telling you guys, make a daily huddle when everyone is there and get everybody in a room, whether it's just your leaders, depending on how big your organization is. But say, okay, at 11:15, from 11:15 to 11:45, we're having our daily huddle, and keep it really quick and talk about one thing that they can learn. If you're passionate about personal development, whatever you're passionate about, you talk about that one thing. Maybe there's a situation that arose in the company. I like to do that. I like to be blatantly and brutally honest. So something happens, like there's an argument or people are arguing more, or maybe motivation is down. I'll be like, hey guys, I need to talk to you today about why we're all feeling shitty. Everybody looks up at you. I love it. The daily huddles are the best thing you can do. Do them with your team, guys. It'll transform the way, but you got to really think about it. Don't just come to the daily huddle and try to wing it. You have to be, you have to know what you're going to talk about. Make it the most important thing of the day for you, because you're being able to transform these people's mindsets in that 10, 15, 20 minutes. How do you develop your subordinates to be good citizens and not just good service members? So good citizens, are you praising them about certain things that they're doing? I like to watch. So, for instance, there was I'm going to give you an example. Quality Mazda, one of my sponsors, there was a receptionist that came in. She was really passionate about dogs. Come to find out, the owner was passionate about dogs. So they wanted to be able to help a not-for-profit. And this receptionist, got involved, found a not-for-profit. And then the owner got involved with the receptionist with this. It's NM Dog is the name of the organization. And now every car that they sell, they give a percentage to this organization. And they have a NM Dog of the Month sponsored by Quality Mazda. And you can go on their Facebook and they talk about it. And then they help with adoptions and stuff like that. One person did that. How can you make somebody be good citizens? If somebody's really passionate about something, why doesn't your organization come alongside of them and help them do that? Next is efficiency. What would you need to change about your life to become just 25% more efficient? What possibilities would doing so create? I always look at this. I always look at like 80-20 principle too. I love to look at it that way. So if I can eliminate things, then how can I become more efficient? That's kind of how I look at it. Okay, I need to eliminate binge watching Netflix for 4 hours. So I'm going to limit myself to a treat that I can watch one show. And no matter how much I want to watch the other one, within those few seconds when it goes to start, I'm going to click it off and be disciplined about it, because I know I have to do this, this, and this. So, think of just little things that you can do that you can eliminate to be more efficient. People don't think of that, but you need to eliminate and focus on the main things. What else could you accomplish? You were able to delegate 50% of your activities to your subordinates. Yes, maybe it was that other business you want to open up. Maybe you don't need to work 10, 12-hour days. Maybe you can spend more time with your family and go to those football, basketball games, soccer matches, whatever it may be with your children, because you can leave early. Delegate, guys. Give yourself freedom. Maybe you want to come in late and you want to work out in the morning, or maybe you want to drink your coffee and outline the day at home and then in your office and chill and relax and then come into work later. Delegate, guys. That's the key. It's the key. Coaching and delegating will get you where you need to be in your business. Next, review how you are currently delegating. Can you correlate underperformance with a lack of clarity in delegating authority? Review how you are currently delegating. Yeah, you need to look at that because a lot of times it's just like you're letting somebody do something, but you don't hold them accountable and there's no review. And if they don't have any clarity and they're just following what you did a long time ago and they're just doing the same motion over and over again, I guarantee it's doing below average. So how can you step their game up? Ask them that. Say, hey, I know I taught you how to do this and this. How do you think that it could be done better? Where the customer would be happier or we could have a bigger ROI or whatever it may be. Next, take a look at your unit's guidance, products, or orders. What else could you provide your subordinates to make their jobs easier? It's funny to me. I talked to somebody the other day, and they were like, "I just need a computer so that I could do some of this stuff at home because I really would like to do this, this, and this, and sometimes I could even do it on my day off or at night when I think about it because it just bugs me, and I just like to get it done." You have an employee. That's why I told this owner, I said, you have an employee that's willing to work on their own time at home to be able to get this done, and you're too cheap to buy them a computer. I would be buying them a MacBook Pro or something, whatever it is, because the ROI on what they're wanting to do is thousands of dollars. So you spending $1,500 on a MacBook Pro is going to pay you dividends in the long run. And say you can say it's a company computer, whatever. Say as long as you're working with me, here's the computer. I really appreciate that you're doing this. I want to be able to. What tools do they need? Stop being cheap, guys. Find things. If that machine that keeps busting down, that's costing you hours and hours. Stop being cheap on that. It's costing you more money. And if you're having to go out there and fix it and spend hours and then you're upset and you're dirty and you've ruined your day or whatever, it stopped you from doing what you need to do in the long run. It's costing you more. I see this all the time. It's so funny how everybody wants to be so cheap. How effective is your organization at killing off bad ideas that stifle progress and good ideas that aren't good enough to maintain? It should feel like pardon my pun with all this, but it should feel like a virus. A bad idea is a virus. You need to get rid of it and get rid of it quickly and communicate it to everyone. I'll do that in the daily huddle. I'll be like, I know we are going down this road, but this road's a dead end, guys. This is not going to work for us. Our whole team's going to get obliterated. We need to pivot and go in this direction. And the best way that you can do it is so and so and so and so and so and so. Jim, Susan, and Bill came up with this, and I really appreciate them seeing this. And even if I had to mention it, and then we had a meeting, and Bill, Susan, Jim, and me had a meeting, and I kind of saw it, and then I let them talk, and then they kind of came up with the direction. Then I give them all the praise in front of everybody else. That's the way you got to do it, guys. Next, what would your team be able to achieve if it wasn't committed to so many ideas? This is another thing I do. This is a problem I had is I would get some new idea or read something new, and then I just have people constantly changing all the time to new things. It's just confusing, and there's a lack of clarity. You have to have them focus and write it down. So what I do is I have a Google Doc, and I have all my great ideas on there. And then when I can execute and implement them and bring them about in time with patience, where I could do it at 100%. So I don't bring a new idea on board until I have a system in place and I know it can be 100% executed. And that idea can sit in there for a year. But I'm going to make sure, or I may give it as a project to someone else and let them figure out the systems on it. I do that sometimes too. Let them figure out the systems on it and then us look at it over and over and over again, have meetings on it over and over. And then we slowly bring it on. But I mean, if it's an absolutely amazing idea and it's going to, 10 times your business or whatever, then that may need to be a priority. But other than that, you need to take the time and make sure that idea is ready to execute fully and put in place properly. Then the last one, because I don't want to keep you guys too long, is training. This is, coaching and training, recruiting, all these things that I've been seeing more as a business owner is the most important things I can do. But with training, we always forget this. Training. How prepared is your team to face the physically and mentally exhaustive realities of combat? Have you replicated them in training? Now, this is a military leader, so this is for military leaders. We always think military leaders are like these hard asses and they don't give two fucks and they're just yelling and screaming. Look at all this self-awareness, not having big egos. And now it's turning around, and physically and mentally. I have brought yoga teachers in. I have brought stretching coaches in. You can get a yoga teacher to come in for very inexpensively and have them, once a week and have them do yoga with your employees. or a stretching coach come in. I mean, you can hire them very inexpensively and have them set the mats out and, or get mats for everybody and say, this is what we're going to do, or just do 5-10 minutes of stretching physically and mentally. Make sure that they're engaged and ready to go. And then have you replicated them in training? Does your leaders know it? I know, and this is great. I know a business owner and he does this. It sounds kind of morbid, but it's amazing. He's like, okay, he'll walk in randomly and say, okay, I died. What's going to happen to the business? And they have a drill. And just occasionally, like twice a year, he does that. I know that sounds horrific, but they've done this for 10, 12 years. So I guarantee you, if something happens to him, they're ready. I guarantee you that with 10 years of this. And then they go through extensively like it really happened. Like he's like, okay, what's going down? And accounts receivable, accounts payable, comptroller, all of them are going through everything. What's going to happen? Managers are getting together. They have a system in place. So, I mean, that would be the worst thing that can happen, but it can happen. Be prepared. Next, are you in good enough physical shape to do battle tomorrow? Guys, number one thing you do is take care of yourself physically. I'm telling you, we're seeing this with COVID-19. The people that are getting affected by this, the people with conditions, obesity. So many people are obese. And all it is doing is hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself. Take the time. You have a business. It can wait. Tell everybody you're coming in at 11 o'clock and take the time to hire a coach to hold you accountable. Start off slowly. Say, I'm going to work out 20 minutes a day and I'm going to have a coach help me. And then I'm going to make sure that I don't cheat on my meal. You need somebody to hold you accountable with that physically. If too many people are dying too early. It just happens. If you're undisciplined with your food, you're going to be undisciplined with your business. If you're taking shortcuts with your food and your health, you're going to take shortcuts with everything else in your life, in your relationships. You've got to make sure that it's not just for military leaders, it's for everybody. You got to make sure that you're in good physical shape. I see so many people that I talk to and my heart goes out to them because I'm like, you're facing something that is going to kill you. It's going to kill you. You're giving up your health for a business for what reason? It's sad. Next, what else could you be doing to prioritize readiness in your organization? Be ready. Ready for whatever. Now we've gone through COVID and we're going through that and we're going to take the next steps. What happens if something like that happens again? Are you ready? Be ready, guys. Be proactive. What does that look like? Next, have you created an environment where subordinates have the freedom to be creative and training for combat? You need to let them. So one thing in the daily huddle, sometimes I don't run every single one of them. I'll say, Bill, you're going to take the daily huddle today. And what suggestions do you have? I'll give them something to talk about, or I'll say, what suggestions do you have about talking about? What needs to be talked about? And they'll bring something up and I'm like, damn, that's a freaking good idea. Bill, that was amazing. Let's talk about that. And then I'm quiet through the whole meeting. Like I am super quiet. If I do speak, it'll be like one sentence and it's going to be encouraging and happy. And I'm going to praise Bill in front of everybody. Be like, Bill, great job. I appreciate this was a need. We needed to really talk about this. I want to thank you guys for being honest and transparent. That is the way to do it. Guys, if you want to, go to themilitaryleader.com. You can get these 40 questions. It's so vital that we understand what true leadership is. I'm disappointed in the leadership in the United States with what happened with COVID. I'm disappointed in everybody hiding and being cowards in this time. And I'm talking about the upper leadership. I'm disappointed that they turned and made all this political and about themselves and not about America and about the American people. And I don't care what side you're on, does not matter. We have a threat and we needed selfless leaders, not selfish leaders. And you need to be a leader and you need to train yourself in being that leader to your people. And this is a good way. Read books, guys. Stay healthy. Motivate your mind. Work that brain out. And I guarantee you, if you help and serve others, you will get exactly what you need to accomplish in your business. Hope you guys have a great, great month.
Thank Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. And thanks to our sponsor, RigbyDigital.com. Make sure to subscribe and share, and go to abqpodcast.com. Get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur and business owner.